name.
I'm safe, and that's Corpse up there. Say hi, Corpse.
It was almost like a perfect audiobook. Like
You do
audiobook
have a really
reading.
good audiobook type voice.
Talking
You should
about
be the
me?
next Siri recording.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Usual Tuesday.
It's like no, it's past ASMR. It's like it
Yeah.
has an embodiment. Zero, you're the man.
Well, I
Really
appreciate
good
that.
embodiment. I love it. Welcome back to another episode of the Usual Tuesday podcast, everybody. We are joined by the wonderful Lucy Dorado. Lucy, what do you want everybody listening to know about you? Drop a plug on something that you're working on. What's going on?
Well, I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I have a podcast here called Lucy's Paradise Podcast, and I'm about to drop a film in 10 days, enter it into the Hawaii Film Festival. It's a little horror movie I made about an urban legend out here. So it's called Morgan's Corner. So yeah, look out for that. And that's probably my latest project.
And where can
Ooh.
everybody find you, Lucy?
They can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Lucy in the Gym, and Instagram, Lucy in the Gym with Weights.
Okay.
Lucy in the gym with weights. I like that. That one was catchy when I saw that one.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. It's kind of like a play, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, but that's more drug reference, and so I'm more. But what's funny is my friends are like, you know what's funny? They're like, you're either at the gym, just got back from the gym, or you're about to go to the gym. So they're like, it's like the perfect Instagram name. It's weird when I go to San Francisco and they call me by my username. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like,
Yeah.
Lucy in the gym.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, and I'm like, stop doing that. Like, for anyone who's like social or not social, that's a weird thing to do. Don't do that.
And you've done as far as like competitions and stuff too, right? Like and like with the UFC gym, if I remember right. Or correct me
Yeah,
if I'm
so
wrong.
I just got into doing like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I've done a few competitions, but I've been a competitive athlete like my whole life. So I basically do a lot of Spartan races out here, and the Spartan race here in Hawaii is every August. And so every year, yeah, I'm top 50 in my age group every year, and it's fun.
Hell yeah, that's tight. I love that shit, bro. Competitive shit
you.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. So just kind of expanding that is like trying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So last year, that was kind of like the thing I was trying. But I like obstacle courses, so that's kind of my thing.
Cool.
And then you have your own podcast too, right?
Yes, yeah.
What's like the base of your podcast? What do you have a base, or do you guys just kind of go on there and talk shit like we do?
So my original idea for it, I wanted it to be a lot more political, but a lot of people in Hawaii don't like politics. So I've tried to blend in a little bit of that, and also like kind of interviewing a lot of people that have like businesses out here or people doing good things in the community, stuff like that. So
Zero
a good
just
blend.
came in his pants. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No, what's funny is I was gonna make a joke. When Save had said if we just shoot the shit, and I was like, well, originally we were supposed to have a lot more of a political bend, but then got away from that. But that's really cool. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think just people think that they don't have opinions about things, but and I love to challenge my friends, and I'm like, okay, why don't you want to? And it's not really that they don't have opinions or that they aren't like, they don't have an opinion about a certain topic. It's just that I think people fear getting into debates. And I think when you learn how to kind of constructively debate, you approach it differently. Because obviously I've had debates with people, even on Facebook. I'm always getting into what you want to call Facebook wars. But the thing is, no one's getting angry. You know what I mean? We're like sharing information, and it's kind of going back and forth in a way that like I'm learning from them and they're learning from me. They might not think the same way that I do. Like recently I got into a debate about them deporting that guy or whatever, right?
Artist guy. The artist?
The guy that was like from Argentina or something, and they deported him back. But the thing is,
because he had a tattoo or something.
So there's more than that, but and again, there's so many things where like the media will twist one little piece of the story, and then everybody just believes that because that's the most viral topic or article, right? But that's not really all the facts, right? You want to look at all the court documents, what they had the opportunity of showing on their side, things like that, to be able to form a more structured opinion. And so anyway, my point is I think that people phase away from just the debating part because, some debates get heated and so people just are like, I don't like politics. But when I question friends, like they actually do have thoughts and opinions about things. So I like to draw that out sometimes.
It's funny that you mentioned that because that's actually like the biggest portion of our podcast is the fact that we can argue and we can debate and all have different opinions and views on stuff and then still come back the next week and do the podcast and still be friends. Like, how many episodes are we on now?
85.
85, and I guarantee you 72 out of the 85 we've argued. At least 2 of us have argued on the screen. Sometimes it's little shit, sometimes it's political shit, sometimes it's
food takes
in or on a car. It's just,
by the way,
whether you eat grape ice cream or not. I mean, we just argue a lot on this podcast. So I love that that's something that you're that embodies you, is that everybody can have an opinion and still debate and talk about shit, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to be friends and get along.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. We've come across a lot of that within the last couple of years where it's like, if you have different beliefs than somebody, then fuck you and you don't need to be my friend anymore. I hate that shit. Like, be a fucking human being and just love one another.
Yeah. I did have to block somebody recently only because I posted something that was not anything political. It was just like about my apartment building, and he like turned it into a political debate, and I was like, okay, that's annoying. Like, it's one thing if I bring up a political issue, but I'm talking about something totally not related, and he's like, oh, let me relate it back to something political and argue with you, and I'm like, dude, come on, that's annoying. Like,
everybody has an opinion these days, and everybody.
So I was just like, oh, I don't want to do it, but I was like, I'm just gonna add him to the block list.
Jeez.
Well, thank you for telling us a little bit about yourself. Okay, go ahead, D. What were you
gonna say? I was just gonna ask when trying to like form, if you don't mind me asking a little bit more on the political wave, when you try to form like your own opinions, do you tend to have websites that you already know you're gonna go check, or do you go, like you said, straight to the court documents every time and then kind of dig into those if they're available? Or I guess how does that process look?
I mean, it's kind of just in my nature to really dig up facts. So I like looking at actual documentation, right? So court documents that were submitted through court, a lot of them, depending on what it is, are free to the public, or, depending on what the topic is. Or if you do know of people that are very good at researching, you can go that way as well and read your own stuff. I actually like to search like the opposite of what I might start thinking about something, just to see like what the opposing side is and like why they think. What's funny though is it's actually really obvious to see which, depending on what topic, it's really obvious to see like which newspapers, and because obviously there's a lot of TV programs that are like super left, and you can just tell, right? Like The View, for an example, right? And
love the ladies on The View.
My favorite. I fucking love that. I love that show.
What's funny? I couldn't remember what that show was called one time. I looked at my friend and I was like, what is that show called? The show where the bitches talk shit about each other or something. And I couldn't remember like what it was. Yeah. And my friend was like, The View. And I was like, the fact that you knew what I was talking about though is kind of funny.
Wait, but that's more like a gossip type of show anyway. No? I've never seen The View. I have no idea.
Very, very like leftist. And what I find is like people that have lived in California their whole lives are just completely brainwashed. And anything opposite.
Say the truth. Speak the truth.
Not everybody. Not everybody. And not in every location in California. And you have to remember, I lived in one of the richest counties in California. So like I'm comparing to something that's like.
Where'd you live?
Marin County.
Where's that at?
It's across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Upstate.
You're up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were north.
NorCal.
Yeah.
And I worked at the Apple store there for 3 years. I managed Metallica and Twitter's business account, and I dealt with a lot of people. And so it's just really interesting because people are very afraid to ruffle feathers. So maybe they do have an opinion that's opposite of somebody else or whatever. They don't even want to talk. They'd rather just go on a podcast and talk about whatever BS because they don't even want to talk about their opinion. And I just wasn't raised that way. I was just raised to like, your voice does matter. And so I have no problem expressing myself, but I try to research as well-rounded as I can, not just like what I think and then put that in there and oh, see, everyone agrees with me. Like that's not. I try to research against what I think to see. Okay, yeah, there are a couple things where maybe I could. Now I'm more neutral on this subject because of this X, Y, and Z that I found. But I just try to be really open minded. I mean, I'm more than I welcome anybody to change my mind about anything. That's fine.
Oh, we got our own Steven Crowder on the show. I love it.
Changed my mind.
So earlier, well, thank you so much for being here with us, Lucy. That was a beautiful intro. Thank you for letting us know what you're working on. Make sure before the end of the show, we're all linked to your YouTube so we can watch when the video your film comes out. I'd definitely love to see that. So I know you have done a couple shows with Corpse already, and I think Corpse has Corpse done your show already?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys were talking. So we have just so people that are listening know, we're all in a group chat on Instagram. We kind of like linked up because we were supposed to do this last week. Last week didn't happen, so we did this week. And you guys brought something up in the group chat that I'm like very looking forward to talking to. Go ahead. Well, either one of you guys can bring it up. And how did you guys come up with this question, or like, is it a question that you guys were talking about on another show and you guys just wanted to bring it over here? What's kind of like the base of that?
Well, we were doing Lucy's podcast, and she asked me a brilliant question. And it was kind of surrounding something that, I mean, we've talked about at length on here, but it was around whether or not I would date somebody who did OnlyFans, right? And in that, it was, Lucy even had a chance to kind of expand a little bit on your own experience. Do you want to tell them that story about who you were dealing with?
Yeah, so recently I've just been really curious on a lot of my male friends' perspectives and things like that. So that's kind of why I brought it up. But I have a friend. She'll be coming on my podcast at some point, and she wanted to hook me up with one of her friends, and I was like, oh, cool, yeah, like interesting. Like I mean, I wasn't like super down, but I don't know this person, but we were chatting back and forth, and she goes, oh yeah, and like this is her Instagram, whatever. But when I went to her Instagram, I noticed that she had OnlyFans. So I was like, oh, does she do OnlyFans? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, no, thanks. And that's just me. I mean, I understand people are different and I get that and that's fine. But me personally, I'm not going to like date somebody that has an OnlyFans. So that's kind of, I guess I mentioned that story. And then I asked him what he would think. Does he think it lessens somebody's value, for example? Because I've heard that on different podcasts. Things like that. I just come from the perspective that like I feel like certain things are sacred, and when you are out there like that, you know what I mean? Like when my nephew can like Google everything, it's just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. You know what I mean? So it just kind of loses that sacredness for me, and so that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah.
So then that also wanted me to go ahead, and there was two questions that I definitely wanted to make sure I asked. And I guess just going off of that is do you think that people can truly have sexual encounters with another person without an emotional connection, right?
Whoa. What do you mean by sexual encounter? Because I think that is a lot of things.
I will just go ahead and say full-blown sex, right? Let's just go ahead and take that bad boy the whole way. And there not be some kind of connection, right? Because it's still manning somebody's argument, right? Is when you can pose their argument. Is society will tell us that sex is just an act, right? That it's just an act, and it's two things that two adults do when they enjoy each other enough to do it, or they find each other attractive enough to do it. And as long as you're doing it safely, and healthy, that there's no problem, that there shouldn't be any reason to assume that there's an emotional connection with it when you can just solely do it because it feels good.
That's interesting that you said that, because you just said society tells us that. Society didn't always tell us that, bro. When I was growing up, there was condom commercials after
I think he
condom
means like
commercials.
currently.
Yeah, so
currently.
that's like a new
Yeah.
thing, and that
So
blows my mind.
that's why the question, that's why I guess to circle back and ask the question is so do you think people can truly have like a sexual experience with someone and not build an emotional connection with them?
I mean, quite simply, like there are people that can compartmentalize things different than other people. So is it possible? Yeah. I mean, sociopaths also exist. So I mean,
Mm.
you know what I mean? That's an argument
Hmm.
there. So I mean, yeah, definitely. I don't not everybody. You know what I mean? I still think it should be taken into consideration and should be something that matters more than just doing that with anybody. To me too, it's also like an energy exchange. So if you're going to be
Mhm.
willy-nilly with energy exchanges with random people, like it's almost like just having a bunch of strangers in your house. Like that's kind of how I see it.
Mhm.
So but yeah, that's my opinion.
So then how important would you think it is for you and your partner to, like, does your partner have to have the same outlook on sex as you?
Mm.
I mean, it would be ideal if they had the same outlook in terms of being monogamous, but they don't have to have the same opinions, right? I mean, if they
Mm.
live their life previous to meeting me and it was different, that's fine. But if then entering and consciously entering into a relationship with me, and if they like are fine with being in a monogamous relationship, then that's okay. But yeah, they don't have to think the same way that I do.
Like, so say the sacredness wouldn't have to be a focal point as long as the sacredness was the monogamy. Like this thing is sacred enough that I do it with you and you only. Like as long as you get that from them, right? Am I understanding that point properly?
Right. Like I don't think
Okay.
I would align well with dating somebody that like wants to be in a polyamorous relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because to them they view sex in a way that's so different that they wouldn't even be in a monogamous relationship with me.
Mm-hmm.
So me pursuing them probably would be more of a waste of time, right? Or could end in heartache. So um but if maybe they were like that in the past and maybe after meeting me they're like, you know what, I do want to be in this monogamous thing with you, then that could be something I could consider. But
I'm glad that you brought up, guys. I apologize, but I'm
No.
glad that you brought up polygamy and monogamy, right? Because my next question I wanted to make sure I asked you was actually brought up with that point, and is do you believe that like porn has truly changed, or corn, sorry, and adult content of that nature has changed the way people look at relationships? Because I've heard this argument of, is it polygamous because in technicality somebody watching it is technically having sex with multiple people after a while, right? Because they're enjoying the watching them and they are becoming aroused and even all the way to the finishing line off this person, off all these different people. So how far, like, do you think that that type of industries had that far of an effect, or not?
yeah, I think so. There's a lot that kind of goes into that too, because then you're kind of getting on the point of like, is that emotional cheating or what, right? Which I'll
Mhm.
kind of avoid that part of it. But the adult content part of it, yeah, I definitely think it has an effect. Like when vaping first started, like nobody really knew how negative the effect was, right? And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden with Juul, they had all these lung issues and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
I predict that's probably what it's going to be like. I mean, only now in this time has adult content been so out there where people are all creating their own OnlyFans and things like that, right? So
Mhm.
we don't really know what that true effect is going to be until maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road. But they're already seeing a lot of depression, self-worth issues, PTSD, even for people that have done that type of work. So I definitely think it's something that will affect you psychologically. I think there's also, I mean, anything to do with objectification, right? Just from watching it. Um, I think unrealistic standards is probably a big one too, right? Because if this is the content you're consuming at a young age, and you've never even had conversations about sex, this is what you think it is, right? And then I also think desensitization, which is if you're desensitized, it's just like when you're watching a bunch of videos online of people getting blown up. If you keep watching it repetition over and over and over, you're going to get desensitized to that. And what's funny is some of the top 4 things, top 4 steps for brainwashing are all of those things: isolation, repetition, like, and the point is to desensitize you, right? So then you think that it's normal. So yeah, I definitely think it has a psychological effect, and I think it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better.
Save what you feel about that, baby. You seem like you got a little tight.
No, I didn't get tight. I like what you're saying. No. I don't give a fuck. I've openly said on the podcast that I've watched porn. I watch porn. It doesn't bother me none. But I do agree with some of the things that you're saying, like that there are people that become desensitized to sex and how they view things, and I think that's a big thing, especially in society today. Like we were saying earlier, the society that we live in is just like go out and fuck, like go out and have a good time and just fuck as many people as you can and enjoy your life. Where like I don't believe in that. I personally I don't believe in that. My view on sex has definitely changed within the last decade or so, and monogamy is very fucking important. Even if you're just like in the talking stage, right, or decide to have sex with one person, typically there's a conversation that happens with that, like, yo, if we're gonna do this, like, make sure it's just me and you. Let's have an open conversation if it's gonna wind up being something other than that. And then the other thing that you said, expectations. Oh yeah, expectations. For a long time, when I was like young watching porn, I genuinely thought that was there's not a man on this earth that has seen any type of porn and like looked down at themselves and been like, damn, I'm lacking. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it's supposed to look like, and I'm not even close to that. You know what I mean?
All right, Damien, whip it out, dude.
I'll show you. Nah. No.
But as far as, but I think it takes a strong-minded type of person to kind of understand that it's fantasy and that's not really what it is when you actually have sex. I mean, I guess it can be for some people, but it's not what it normally is. And as far as like the emotional, what did you say? Well, emotional cheating, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Well, because what he kind of talked about was like, yeah, like if your partner or whatever was watching it, and I didn't really get into that. I didn't really touch too much on that part of it, but mostly just kind of the desensitized. And I kind of base more of my opinion on like the younger, more impressionable under 25-year-olds, where we're not only are they more susceptible to like being addicted to something like that, but more susceptible to thinking that kind of stuff is normal, right? Because you've never experienced anything yet, right? When you're like obviously prepubescent. But that's more of like what I'm talking about. I think it has a worse effect on when you're younger.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, that's what it was. Corp said it's like cheating because you're sleeping with multiple people that you're watching or something like that, right? Bro, I must have starred in some of the great... Did you catch my part in Titanic then? Like, or The Last Samurai? Like, that's... I think that's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, yeah, that's an interesting opinion. I guess it would determine, like, what your definition of cheating is. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, here's the thing is, I got berated for that one time on the podcast because I said, can we define what cheating is then?
Yeah, because people do have different...
crazy on me.
People do have different definitions, you know what I mean? And then and this is the thing too, what's even crazier is because people that have followings and stuff have OnlyFans now, it almost feels like it's not a fantasy person. It almost feels like a real person, right? That you could like, because they are real people, right? But it seems like more closer to home is what I mean, right? When you can like comment on their Instagram and like they'll chat you back or whatever the fuck. I have no idea. I've never had OnlyFans and never subscribed to one. But I'm just giving you examples of like that feels more of a cheating than some 70s movie of some stars that are dead, right? Like I'm not messaging them, or they don't have.
Yeah, I feel like if you
You know what I'm
take it the
saying?
next, I feel like if you take it the next step and you're like living through that fantasy and like messaging people and then paying people for money. See, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
difference. Is I think if you're like if you're in a relationship and you're subscribed to somebody's OnlyFans, you're like singling somebody out. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
trying to communicate with them. That I could get. If you want to call that cheating, I can 100% get behind that.
Yeah,
if I'm on the
I
hub
think so.
and I'm scrolling to page 14 because I haven't
Right,
found a video that I like yet, you know what I mean? Like that's to me,
Uh,
that's just a man in his
that's
thoughts.
funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Listen, not my thoughts, just theories, just throwing them out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
No, I like that. I
you know-
like when you can put a challenging, blurb and see what we think about it. It's interesting.
What do you think, Zero?
No, I mean I agree. I think you had Lucy alluded to like the whole process as kind of like the isolation and then the eventual process of making it normalized as like more of, I don't know if I misunderstood, maybe of more of like a, was it a cult that you used, like a more of like a brainwashing?
So those are steps for brainwashing. So when they do steps for
Mm.
brainwashing, one of the first things whoever brainwashes does is they isolate you, right? So they isolate you from your family and friends, and then certain things are repeated, or repetition. They'll repeat, and right, if you watch porn all the time, if you're addicted, that's kind of what you're doing. You're watching it over and over and over. You're repeating, and then eventually you do get desensitized to
For sure.
whatever content you're intaking.
Yeah, especially like the amount, I guess, if it's like everyday thing. I guess I'm curious on like that word, the brainwashing, because I don't know what you mean by like, I guess I don't know what you mean by that, because I would agree with you, and I think porn and alcohol are in very weird positions in our society where they're not treated as like as severe as maybe they should be in terms of like their addiction, like people's proclivity to be addicted to these things, and for it to be, maybe alcohol is probably more on that, like it's more serious, but porn especially, I think it goes so under the radar when people are like watching porn too often, and for people to gauge themselves on how often is too much and how it's actually affecting their like regular life, whether that be in the bedroom or in other places, like at work or in traffic or wherever they may be. It's
In traffic is great,
bro, like some
Traffic
people are
nutty.
some people are like
diabolical.
in it, you know what I mean? Like some people are like, any chance they get, any moment that it's like it's a little still, it's like, okay, maybe I can not rub one out, but like maybe I could watch something. It's not necessarily that I have to like do the deed, but it's more
Right, you're just talking about it as like a severe addiction.
exactly.
If you're watching porn and not rubbing one out, then yeah,
You're
you need to
addicted.
talk to somebody, bro.
That's what that's what I'm
That's
saying, is
crazy.
that people are to that degree and not
Sure.
and functioning, you know what I mean? Still going to work, still taking care of their families, whatever it may be, but it's deeply rooted. That's like, whenever I have a chance, I'm gonna, watch a little something. But that's not healthy. You know what I mean?
Not healthy at all. That's not healthy.
Super not
at
healthy.
all. Goddamn.
Watch a little something is crazy.
Just trying to
phrase
frame.
fucking movie
trying-
or something. You're driving.
I was trying
bro.
to phrase that
It's
in,
like, watch
in
a
the
little
best.
something. That's
Put on a movie while you're driving is even crazier. Why are
Yeah,
we
that
not
is
just listening to
porn.
music?
At least just die watching like something wholesome, fam. Like a Shrek. Like, put on a fucking Disney movie, bro. Not
Shrek,
porn.
Yeah,
XX.
fuck that porn. Watch Shrek while you're driving.
Sure,
That's-
dude.
That's the message that we want to deliver to everybody listening.
But
The
to,
bare minimum, people. Just deliver the bare minimum.
to touch on also the I think I had two more things. Just to touch on the beginning portion too. I think it's super possible to have sexual relationships with people and not necessarily have an emotional tie. I think it becomes way harder the more often you do it, obviously with somebody. I think to some level there has to be like, you're not gonna let anybody, unless, I don't know, that's like what you're into, I guess. You're not gonna let anybody, come into your house. You're gonna vet them a little bit, make sure that you guys click to some degree. But overall, emotionally, I don't think it necessarily has to be there. But then obviously with your wife or husband or whatever, that's a must. That's like a strong bond. That's what makes it better than sex.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think lastly, I think it's crazy, yeah, that we've gotten more on porn. It became like VHS tapes, magazines, to internet, and now it's like the almost like YouTubeification of porn, where it's now so much more personalized, and you can like you said, reach out, reach out to them, and they have whole networks of people who are like all over the world providing like chat services, so that way you feel way more personal to the person you're watching. That shit is crazy.
They have AI now, bro.
Or AI, yeah. I don't
That's
doubt it.
crazy.
Bro, the what? Okay, something that kind of that boggles me, and it's kind of weird, but I see the vision. Is the models can see who's paying them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your $60 fucking subscription going, whatever, $10, and
60 is crazy.
Johnny Storm over here at 88 fucking buys all the fucking extra stuff and the unlock this and the buy that and the this
and the tips,
you
and
can literally the tips, all the thing that the platform provides, you know what I'm saying? And I just think it's just weird because like you guys are saying, it's so personal to me. That feels so personal because at that point, like I seen something, it was on Twitter where I think it was one of the models met up with one dude who like paid her more than like it was like 900 bands. I think it was 1 million, but it was like 900 bands or something like that. And she like met up with him.
I think it was just a meetup. I've seen different models like do like YouTube videos of like meeting the biggest fan, or like a lot of meme channels will be like,
my top tipper thing, fucking pay pig.
Yeah, like a lot of meme channels would be like
$1 million just to meet with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, he's spent this money over whatever tenure of time he's subscribed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, damn.
Oh my fuck. Are you? Oh,
so to me, that's just kind of.
I think like I don't knock the hustle, but I think too what's sad and what sucks is that if there wasn't a market for this, it wouldn't be popular, right? So clearly there's a market. So clearly there's guys who are, you know, not confident in themselves maybe, or maybe guys that have lots of money that it's just never worked out. Maybe they like the bachelor life. Maybe they like just fucking blowing all their millions of dollars on girls that barely give them attention. I don't know the psychology behind it.
Some people like that. Some people,
I assume they have daddy issues or mommy issues to some extent. I can only assume. I don't know.
Just imagine having that kind of money. You wake up like, fuck.
I gotta give another $1,000 to.
I mean, if
Debbie.
I had that kind of money, you're not gonna be on the fucking internet. You're gonna be in front of me cooking some shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking.
If I'm spending $1 million, dog, we doing more than just.
I'm not gonna imagine that you're here. Like, what is that shit?
There's got to be some pretty young girl who would do that from. That's what I think of. Is like, bro, all that money, that's a lot of money. Like, even, I mean, and she's a young girl. So like this, let's just say she's 23. At best, this profile's at 5 years old, right? Like, and that's being crazy. This profile's 5 years old. So 900 bands over 5 years is a lot of money, right? It's what, 1 point something thousand, right, a year?
Yeah, like 1.8.
That's crazy, bro. That's like
wild.
That's like tech corporate fucking salary, bro. What the fuck? I know. It just,
like Lucy said, there's a market for it, and
it's
just because of the generation that we're in now, bro. There's no, people don't believe in safe sex no more. Cream pies is everything. Go buy a Plan B the next day. You know, like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I'm low-key happy that I'm not living in this era.
Well,
like,
I think
as a young person,
I think though there's like a lower rate. But I think there's like a lower rate of like teen pregnancy than ever currently.
Fuck no, there's not. I highly doubt that.
I'm pretty sure that's true. Somebody can Google that.
That's Googleable.
Somebody give it a Google.
Where's
Kelly? I know Kelly's in here. Kelly, can you look up
teenage
pregnancies within the last 20 years?
That's funny.
It's funny because I feel like maybe this is every generation. I feel like our generation's the two extremes where it's like kids are also like as smart as ever because technology's allowed it, and then also like kids are the dumbest shits that they've ever been because technology allowed it. Like we're on so much extremes for everything. Right. We're like at the highest levels and at the lowest levels, and maybe that's just kind of what comes with the territory. But
yeah, it's kind of a trip, bro. The internet just, I know, I can't wait till my nephew's old enough to like admit to me that he watches porn, and I'll be like, man, I used to sneak magazines out of the back of the liquor store when I was your age, and now you have your phone wherever you want in the bathroom. You take the shit.
teen birth rates in the U.S. have been steadily declining and reached a record low in 2022.
Wow.
2022, the teen birth rate was 13.6 births per thousand females ages 15 through 19. That's a crazy statistic, but I'll take it.
Wait,
I
we'll
wonder
look up
if
abortion
that's-
rate.
I wonder if that's because abortion
Well,
is so much more available now.
Yeah,
Now,
look up
well,
abortion
well,
rate.
we're not talking
Factors
ab-
contributing to decline is improved contraceptive use, including more effective methods, and increased use of multiple methods is a primary factor in the decline of teen pregnancies, according to Congress.gov.
I was gonna say, I would imagine pregnancies wouldn't fall into that. Like abortions wouldn't.
births.
No,
He said births.
he said pregnancies. Did you not?
And he said successful births.
Wait,
That's
am
the
I-
verbiage that you used. Reading that, right?
Historical low teen birth rates have reached their lowest levels in the U.S. with the 2022 rate of 13.6
okay.
births per 1,000 females ages 15 through 19.
Okay. But more contraceptives, it sounds like.
Yeah, and methods. So I would
What's that side eye, Cisco?
I would be,
Abortion, bro. Abortion is more
Yeah. I mean,
but you-
like talked about now than it was 15 years ago.
But it also
20 years
laid
ago.
out the reasons.
Yeah,
for
I don't
the
think it's
decline.
as like frowned upon, right? Like
Mhm.
so it's not as frowned upon. I also like sex education has changed within the last, 20 or whatever years. Like it's a lot more prevalent like in middle schools and stuff like that. So that's probably
So here's
contributing.
a interesting fact that they also put out that I think there's a couple things too, right? Even just looking at this, because even though abortion, I know is going to be one
I don't know how we
factor.
got on abortion. This is crazy.
But
For
teen
real.
birth, right?
Oh no, wait.
Well, we
Abortion
started-
is only.
we
We're
also-
only talking about abortion for the sake
We-
of this portion of the conversation. We don't have to go any further than this.
We also started on like OnlyFans porn, so it's like it's not that much of a jump.
Been a good,
to be
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
To be
we're
fair.
tracking. We're tracking.
This just
yeah,
wasn't
we're-
the Tuesday I thought I was gonna have.
No, yeah, it never is. Not on here.
There are significant variations in teen birth rates among states, with some states having rates less than 10 births per thousand teens ages 15 to 19 in areas like New Hampshire and Massachusetts, and others with rates of 20 or higher in states like Mississippi and Alabama. So the cousin fuckers are getting busy, but they also don't believe in any kind of contraceptives. They don't believe in any kind of anything like that.
Yikes.
Kelly Grigg, a fucking dub.
Go ahead.
Always coming through global rate. The global teenage birth rate has been declining steadily, reaching an estimated 39 births per thousand girls aged 15 through 19. I
2023.
like how the global consensus is this is a teenage girl is 15 through 19. I'm glad you guys can get that together.
Well, they also aren't taking into consideration like biological females either. So
That's
I'm
an
just playing.
interesting take.
Oh my
That's an
God.
interesting take, but I'll accept it.
I'm just playing.
So I think actually there's a issue with global birth rates actually being down, like collectively.
Why? I thought we were talking about overpopulation before.
I don't know, but that's been a thing I've been hearing. Like, what was it? I know they were saying that about Russia at one point. They
I
were
think
saying
that is true because I think like
Germany?
there's such a push for like this whole like single in your 30s bullshit,
Yeah, and I mean, and then also the acceptance of, like, I think there's a big acceptance too of, like, women, and especially because women are the ones who give birth, right? Like, they pursue the careers and forego the family, right? They say, I'm gonna chase the career, I'm gonna chase the career, I'm gonna chase the career. Which, I mean, do your thing, boo boo. But then at the same time, it's much different for men because, women have just a natural time. Like, there's a natural time that, maybe they overexert themselves into their career and they just never get around. Their body just doesn't allow them to procreate at that time when they're ready or when they feel that they're ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why freezing your eggs is like popular now, right?
I forget people do that.
So it's not an exact science either. Like you could do that and it could be a completely waste
Yeah.
of 10 grand. But,
Wow.
but I think
All
that's
they gotta
like,
do is call up the guy that spends 900,000 on OnlyFans, and he'll invest half of that into frozen eggs.
Yeah, I don't think the girl who's wanting a family is the one that's on OnlyFans though, you know?
I think. Well, here's where I disagree with
Ordering
that.
escargot or something. Jesus Christ.
I think that there's a lot of girls that thought OnlyFans was like easy money, so they still want families and shit like that. And I don't think that they see the consequence behind it, or the fact that a lot of men don't want women that are on OnlyFans, but they are chasing a bag and they're just.
Is that the consensus that men don't want a woman that has OnlyFans?
If you would date a girl with OnlyFans, raise your hand.
I think honestly, wait, hold on, because the only
We speak
thing
for the fucking.
He's like,
constituents.
wait, my OnlyFans chick is gonna see this and get mad.
no, but I also I wouldn't, but also it's only because I think it depends on the type of content. One, and then two, the main
like, okay,
thing.
we're assuming it's the worst of the worst
Okay,
content.
then.
Yeah.
They're like
I can't-
eagled
I
out, bro. Everything's
Yeah,
showing.
we're not gonna sugarcoat and make it like specific. It's just
Yeah, like what is she doing? Just wearing bathing suits?
Well, no, because what
Why
I'm
are you on
saying is OnlyFans isn't just like sometimes OnlyFans is just people in bathing suits, people even just
Right.
photos naked and stuff like that. I think that stuff is probably pretty fine. The only thing
Photos naked? Photos naked is fine.
so two things that one is like if they're getting slammed on every weekend, I'm like, all right, bro, I can't. Like,
What if you're the one
can't.
slamming them? What if you're the one slamming them?
Maybe, but this is what leads to number two, where I'm like, I for sure can't do it. Is family being able to like get sent that information or sent those photos or sent those videos? I'm like, bro, what my decisions are and whatever my significant other's decisions are, that's our business. If I could find a way to isolate them and like you can never see these ever forever, maybe, but like, yeah, the fact that I
Internet
can't
lives
do
forever.
anything like that, yeah, it sucks. But yeah,
So, in not so many words, no, you wouldn't date a
no,
girl that does
no.
OnlyFans.
But it's not because like, oh, like, well, like I can't do it. But
You can't sit here and tell me that you would be okay with multiple men knowing what your girlfriend looks like naked and paying for it.
I don't know. I like Ramir. I can be totally wrong
Like,
and be in this situation.
Imagine you're like at dinner with her, and then some guy comes up and goes like, "Hey, like great video last week," and then walks away. Like that would make you feel like some type of way. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, or-
you have no control over that.
Especially
like, she
but you
thousands
said
of people
Sure.
that see that all the time.
Yeah,
you
100.
said
Matter
you
of
said
fact,
just
I was-
naked. So what if they were just like, oh, I really like that picture of you where you were posing with a white flower. Like, come on, dog. You don't.
I mean,
I
listen.
don't want anybody to know what my girl looks
I
like
could-
naked. If
I
it's
could-
up to me,
champ, and if you can't believe for a second, right? This is my thing, right? And I know Zero, this isn't like you willing to die on this hill, but
you might be.
there has been people, bro, when I go to sessions, and I haven't been to a lot of sessions in a while, right? But I'll pop up and, hey, bro, I seen the usual Tuesday. Oh, I saw this. Oh, I saw the smoking section.
Mhm.
I was in Angleton, Texas, and ended up taking a picture with a dude because he's watched the usual Tuesday, and he's a crumper, and he's seen my shit.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
And so I'm like, hey, yo, right? So he takes a picture with me. And I remember thinking, like, maybe if
It's
it's
like-
uber private. Maybe
it's
just maybe
It's
if
like good
it's
thing I don't have my asshole on the internet.
He's definitely shown his ass, and definitely held Hitler multiple times.
Hey, there's
Definitely.
allegedly.
No, that's not a
allegedly
legend. You can
That
pull
was-
back the
what was it?
clip.
imitating. I was imitating Hitler.
It was a dance move.
Yeah.
Definitely told
Dude,
multiple women to go into the kitchen. Definitely said women shouldn't drive.
Bro, I said some things, and I've gotten some emails recently where I'm like, fuck, I'm my bad.
I guess I'm just going into the situation like the thing with the idea that I found a person that I'm really willing to like, this is a serious person that I'm willing to date, and like, am I gonna really throw that all away because they did some stuff online or they're currently doing some stuff online, which doesn't obviously, like I said, if they're getting slammed, I'm like, listen, it was cool, we could like be friends, I don't mind, but like, I just can't date you. I'm sorry, like.
Yeah, but part of
Yeah.
that job is like responding to fans and like, what if?
I mean, it could
What
be.
if? Okay,
That
hold
could
on.
be.
So what? So let's just put this as an example, okay? Because we know we love what ifs on the Usual Tuesday podcast. So your girl does OnlyFans and you're okay with it, right? As long as she's not getting slammed. But she gets a $3,000 tip to talk dirty and send videos to a guy. You're gonna tell her she can't do it for 3 racks?
That would be hard because
It's kind of part of the reason that she's on the platform to make money, right?
Sure,
It ain't fucking art.
I think, but I think
from our senior correspondent from OnlyFans, Kelly Grigg.
Oh yeah, 100% on feet. I'm like, yeah, go for it, bro.
Feet only.
Spread your toes.
Listen, I'm looking for a girl that will let me manage her feet only pics.
But I think there are probably certain obviously this is like a general idea of a situation. There are obviously certain conversations that I would have with a person that would be my like defining whether or not we could date or not. Like, I'm not comfortable with you sending personal stuff. Maybe like that's within chats and stuff. I'm not okay with certain pieces of content. And if you're okay with foregoing that opportunity, then we can continue. Otherwise, be safe, have fun, do your thing. Like I said, we could be friends, we could be cool, but yeah.
So $3,000 to like sex with the dude, you're not with it?
No, I don't think so. Money's nice, but like, I don't know.
She could post naked pictures.
I made 0. I mean, it came in clutch.
She could post naked pictures. Listen, this goes back to the whole define cheating thing, right? She could post naked pictures for multiple people to see, but that's not cheating.
I mean, it just becomes too personal.
If watching porn is considered cheating, how can posting pictures of yourself naked for other people to pay and get not be cheating?
I don't know if I would meld well with somebody who really genuinely thinks I'm cheating when I'm watching porn or something like that. You know what I mean?
So do you consider watching porn as cheating?
I don't.
Okay. Corpse?
Baby mad. Do I consider watching porn cheating?
Yes.
No. I just think as long as it doesn't. I think as long as it doesn't.
Page 14. You said.
I think it doesn't. As long it's not cheating, right? Like as long as this is where I see, especially this is more of a uniquely, I guess. Well, I can see where it could be more of a uniquely a man's issue. Is as if when dudes start watching porn in preference of having sex with their old lady, you have an issue.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. That's
another level.
Yeah. Now, that's not what I'm asking.
Well, wait. What? Because I think it's easy also for our brains to go to a dude who's just consumed by his phone and the porn sitting on the toilet. But I think it's also a problem if a dude, right? It's also an issue if old boy like is just no longer sexually attracted to this person anymore, or he just doesn't find them in that manner anymore, right? That I think that's a problem too, because you got to talk that out with your person, like, you know what I mean? And so I think as long as it's not crossing into those lines, you're straight. Like, you know, like I travel a lot, so I'm about to whack it off. Like as soon as I get to that hotel, fam. Are you kidding me? I got to break in the new bed.
This dude's like poking a hole in the mattress.
He's like, room service, can you bring some extra towels, please?
Before, like, as I'm checking in,
bring a bottle
I'm gonna need more towels to that room, man.
Corpse on checkout, we realized that there's a hole in your mattress. We're gonna have to take that safety deposit, my man.
The sheets are stuck.
The sheets will not come apart.
Yeah. So no, I don't think it's cheating unless you start hitting the realms of like preference. You prefer that over your partner.
And I think that's what, unfortunately, I think that's how a lot of women view porn. I think guys are just like, I need something to help me get jump started, and I got 5 minutes to waste. But I think a lot of women are like, oh, that's what you would prefer. You would prefer that over, yeah. And like, girl, you don't even know what the fuck I be watching. I got different categories for different days. I prefer everything.
Yeah, and I don't see how people get to that point, but.
It's intense.
The dating OnlyFans thing I think that's something that we talked about before.
Oh, several times.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't date anybody that did OnlyFans. I couldn't date anybody in the sex industry. Not that I'm like, I think anything less of them. Just me personally, like the type of woman that I want to be with, I don't want them. Like, I don't like thinking about I'll never ask body counts. I'll never like none of that. I don't want to think about you with another man. If you with me now, you with me now, and that's all I care about.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. No, I agree with what you were saying about it not being cheating. I think too, like, as long as, again, you're not like obsessed with this fantasy person, or like you aren't emotionally into them, and if you aren't preferring them over the person you're with. I think yeah, there are like some stipulations there that I think matter, you know.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Like as long as my eyes aren't closed the whole time I'm having sex with you, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. But then you're like, what are you thinking about? No, I'm completely fucking joking. I'm completely joking. That's
Yeah,
a good,
Lucy, I
that's
don't know
good.
if you've noticed quite yet, but we get we're a wild bunch. We end up on different roads and different trains of thought a lot of times.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's okay. It's totally good. I like to hear what you guys' thoughts are, and especially Zero trying to like kind of just having like a moral dilemma with himself, because it's almost like you want to agree with us, but you want to just disagree with us.
Wow,
I
You're like,
think
no,
it's
maybe I'll
almost
just
like she
let
knows
her.
Zero.
But I think too, like, and I'm coming from this perspective, listening to what you said, is that there's a certain point where like if I have to control or make rules for so much of something that you do, like it's feeling to me that like this isn't really something that's aligning. Like I shouldn't have to do that.
Sure.
Like I should let my partner be able to be their full self, whatever that is to them, and not me having to make all these little rules for you, cookie cutter rules, so that you don't break, that you're cheating on me or whatever, you know. So it's
Mm,
just, to me it just seems like so much to navigate, you know what I mean?
for
To be
sure.
able to be like, all right, cool, we're dating, you're an OnlyFans model, you know, like,
But you just can't do this, like pull out a
yeah, yeah,
whole
yeah, it sounds
sword, like
stressful, you know, like. And then
Mhm.
if they're feeling like they're not being able to be their true self and like do the career they want, maybe they're passionate about it, maybe they get empowerment from it, um or whatever, it sucks, you know, because it's like, oh, I feel like I'm making all these rules for you so that you can mold into somebody, you know, that I feel like I can be with. But it's like, are you
Mm.
truly being yourself? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
oh, okay,
I
that's that brings up. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
sorry.
Zero.
I was just gonna say because like I try not to argue for this. Sometimes I'll play devil's advocate. You know what I mean? Even on a position that I don't necessarily agree with, but just on some, I guess, questions, I just don't want to come off as like, oh yeah, no, 100%. Instead of like, well, I mean, I wouldn't say no right away. There are like
Yeah,
in those situations, I would hope that the stipulations aren't like I'm I'm holding you back from doing something that you want to do. I would hope that there are things that like, oh, I don't really mind giving this up because I really actually just care about being in a relationship with you, and that's worth whatever I was gonna do, or whatever. Um,
yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
but then yeah, if it's like if it comes up in an argument where somebody gave something up and then they're like, well, I gave this up for you, then I'm like, okay, well, that can't be used because we talked about this. And if that's really an issue, then I do want you to go live your life and be, as happy as you can be. I don't want to hold anybody back. Fuck
One
that.
foot picture a week.
Exactly. Only the
listen,
pinky toes
listen.
and nothing more.
if I go to the shower, if I ask my old lady
I could do the shower.
to have sex, right? I say, "Love, I'd like to have sex," and she says, "Love, no." And I go to take a shower, and I come back out, and she's in there flipping the bean. I'm going to be upset, right? Like I think like anybody would. It's like, whoa, why? What's
Whoa,
up?
wait a
Like
minute. Sure.
like hey, like matter of fact, stop what you're doing. I'm clean. Like I am quite literally just showered right now. Like what's going on? Like and I think I
While you're in the same house is crazy though, bro.
That's a little
okay.
insulting.
While they're on the
So-
walkway too, like they know you're gonna pass by. So it's
Hey,
like-
but to them it's just porn. I'm just watching. Right? That's just what I'm trying to see it from that type of perspective, and I just couldn't fucking function. And if we can boil it out, and I like how sometimes I don't want to say we, for myself personally, I try to find all these little micro words to describe the thing that I think more days should be addressed on the macro level, right? Well, what is this thing she's doing? Oh, well, she's preferring the fantasy. Okay, but what is she doing, right? It's cheating, right? Because you could take that same thing, that same statement that you made about that, and apply it to you know, the work boyfriend that's got her number and has been buying her flowers all the time.
It's
And
a
they've been
wild
meeting up on
situation.
lunch. And maybe there's a couple
Mm.
text messages that she doesn't want you seeing. But you know, it's not crazy, but you know, maybe it's got a heart and it's explainable. And you know, and just like this porn's explainable, it's not real and it's through a screen, but how far it is how far.
It
When
sounds
I
like a real
go in that
scenario.
I'm just saying, if all I'm saying is if I walk in that shower and I come out, I'm gonna be pissed
Well, I think
because
this goes back to like the preferring over your partner thing that we
mm,
talked about. Like that would feel more like cheating, right? Like you're
it's a
like,
cheat.
hey, like let's have fun, and they're like, nah, and you're like, all right, and then you catch them doing that. Like that kind of feels like, okay, that kind of feels like you preferred that, like versus if you weren't home and then that was happening, and then you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
less like heartbreaking or fucked up, I guess. But
I would be
Okay, I have a
heartbroken.
question.
No,
I have a
I'd be
question.
fucking
Just based off
pissed.
of what you just said, Corpse, I have a question. I was talking about this earlier. And you said the work boyfriend and some. I don't know what the fuck else you just said, but it just like clicked in my head. Do you think that regardless, like if you go through your girl's phone right now, this is for anybody. If you go through your girl's phone right now,
Mhm.
even if there's even if they're not talking to somebody else in that manner, do you think that no matter what, you'd be able to find something that would still upset you?
If I look through her phone, then no matter what I find, I can still find something that upsets me.
I would say yes to this.
Yes. Yes, I think hmm. Hmm. I because I think when you rewind it from the beginning, right? When you're already going in there saying I'm looking through her phone because I suspect something. Knowing me, and most people I feel, right? And I think it's on clear display these days, is if you hang a carrot, right? They'll find that son of a bitch. Like they will chase it down, they will find it. And there's so many ways that we can pose a text message, right? And every single way it can mean something different, right? Just based off of emojis, or maybe it's all in capitals. Maybe, I mean, just that's basic literature, right? The way you write something dictates the way it's said, dictates the way that it's felt and received, you know?
Mm,
So I think going in, right? You use exclamation points for a reason,
sure.
periods,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Question
Okay. I get
mark.
what you're saying.
You give me commas, and so they
Commas?
all, right, all this shit. So that just goes into reading it. You go in there with the mindset you're reading something, no matter what, you will find something that upsets you. No, I have never met a person that dug through their old lady or their old man's phone that did not find something that upset them. Never.
What do you
That
think,
never
Zero?
misses.
No, I agree. I think I've said this to my current girlfriend. Like, if we've gotten to the point where we're needing to go through each other's phones, like a lot has gone wrong at that point.
Yes.
A lot of shit has gone
Facts.
wrong.
That's facts.
Yeah,
Ron's gone wrong. It's all wrong, dude. It's going
Yeah, a lot
downhill,
of shit
baby.
I don't want the password to your phone. I don't want the password to your Instagram. I don't want the
Yeah.
password to nothing.
Mhm.
No locations, no nothing. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't
How do
want
you
it.
become obsessive?
I was
bro?
really weird about location, more specifically because of my past relationship. And only recently, I don't think your location is inherently bad, but I could see why people don't want it. I didn't want it for the longest. But it was just like just in case, like if you need help, if you need something, and obviously I trust my girlfriend enough to not like, why the fuck are you at McDonald's when you said you were gonna be home in 15 minutes? What the fuck's going on? Whatever. Like I know she's not doing any of that. So now I allow that to her for her to have my location, but I used to not. I used to be super heavy on like, you don't need to know where I am. If you trust me, you know that I'm exactly where I'm telling you I am. But yeah.
I feel like it low key, it's like a slippery slope though when you do something like that, right? Like, no, if you really trust me, you don't need my location. Then I feel like it sounds a little
Yeah, it's a
distrusting.
little.
You know what I mean?
It
I
sounds
think,
crazy.
I think honestly, in my experience, the people that have problems with things like that are the people that aren't as honest. I think if you have nothing to hide, it doesn't really matter if they have their location or not. And the only people that have really had my location are like my really close friends. And one of my friends, that's how she like establishes that you're in her close friend group. She's like, all right, I'm gonna have your location now. I don't give a shit. I only go to like 3 places: the gym, work, and my house. So to me, you're gonna be spying on the most boring fucking person ever. But I also like, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't even really go out that much. You know what I mean? Like I actually am very boring. So and I'm not up to anything, so it's fine. But in my experience, the people that are up to shit are always the ones that have problems with that.
That's interesting because I'm up to nothing. I do the same shit as you. I work from home and I go nowhere but see my son, and you're not getting my fucking location. Like, what the fuck do you need my location for? I don't know.
I will be absolutely honest, and it sounds suspect as fuck. There's going to be times I don't want you to know where I'm
at questionable places.
There's going to be times when I don't.
Why not? No.
Like, I don't want to be found. Like, I actually and I literally only have my phone in my pocket for absolutely ridiculous situations that don't happen. Like, I get robbed.
You're a horrible texter,
right? Like, bro. Okay, so because my thing is right. Especially after being on the road, bro, I could put my phone down in my hotel room, walk out the door, and I'm missing. I've disappeared off the face of the earth, like, you know. And there was something very liberating about that while I was on the road that I wanted to maintain. And it's like, okay, if my girlfriend needs 10 minutes from me and wants to just drive, is she really out of my eyesight if I still have her location on? Right? Like, what if I'm the person pissing her off? What if I'm the person she's trying to disappear from? Go ahead, right? Go, because I would rather you go take a walk, right, with your phone in your pocket than do the ridiculous thing that I was saying, whereas just leave it at home and disappear anyways.
Yeah, and then now if something really happens to you, we can't get a hold of you.
And now you're really fucked because I've found your fucking phone under your pillow, right? Like, and no one knows where you are, right? So it's like I would still rather. It's kind of like have a gun and not need it, and need it and not have one, almost. But
yeah, I feel like as long as it's not like abused, you know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, that's the thing is I had a girlfriend that was very obsessive over the location thing, and same thing like Zero said, like, oh, you said you were gonna be home in 15 minutes. I just checked your location, you haven't moved. Like,
yeah, that's like
leave me the fuck alone, dog. Let me come home when I come home. You know what I mean? Just call me and be like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm still at the place that I was at. I got into a conversation. I'll be home in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're checking my location obsessively, that obviously shows that you don't trust me. Like, you're trying to use the location thing as a crutch to why you trust me, and then you still check it every 5 minutes. So obviously you don't fucking trust me. So bye-bye. Like, get the fuck out of here.
There was an ex-girlfriend who had my location. And I can't remember if it was through like Snapchat or something, and came to where I was, right? As I'm like I was like, hey, I'm about to go take a walk. I don't want to talk. Please, like, I'll just see you later, right? And I took off, and I didn't realize at the time that you could see somebody's location on Snap, right? Like, literally where they are.
Yeah.
And then they pulled to where I was, and I'm like, hey, fam, like, what are you doing here? Like, and it became creepy. Yeah, like you're encroaching on my private time right now, fam. Like, I'm trying to relax. Like, and then it's like, well, I'm just trying to help you relax. It's like, no, you're fucking pissing me off. Like, actually,
I'm trying to help you relax. Yeah, no, that's crossing the line, I think.
Yeah,
you should never show up somewhere unless the person knows, you know.
It's almost like they broke into your house a little bit. Like, this is my space.
But if
right
you
now,
gave them a key to your house that they don't live in, technically, are they breaking in?
Yes, if they're not welcome. Yes, if they're not welcome. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
I'm never going to your house unannounced. Never. Never. I'm gonna get shot.
Well, my mom if I'm like, hey, don't come, and then you're like, well, but I had a key. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? What the fuck? What are you doing?
So just don't have my location. That's it. That's it. That's it.
That's the thing is, like, that's the thing that I was saying. Like, when you do stuff like that, it, like, if somebody was like, yo, Damien, let me go through your phone. The way I know how you are, you're like, you would probably eventually give them your phone, but you'd be like, like, why do you need my phone? Obviously,
No,
you
if they
don't
said
trust me. Like, why do you...
if they said let me go through, I'd be like, no, I would not give them my phone.
Now it looks like you're hiding something.
I don't give a fuck.
Gaslight moment, 100%.
Yeah, but like I think we've been through stuff like that to the point where like now I'm just wizened up to like I have nothing to prove to you. If you really think that, that's fine. But I'm not like, no. What the fuck?
I'm gonna say something crazy. I'm
Oh,
gonna say
let's hear it.
something crazy,
Ooh,
and y'all
say
might
it.
not believe me.
It's crazy hour for Corpse.
But I think that there is a correlation between people being more open with posting their body online, right? With things where things of the invasion of privacy of like our cell phones and laptops. I think that there is some kind of correlation there. Because more and more I have heard people make the arguments that, oh, it's their body, they can do whatever they want. Cool. But those are also the same people who will make a fat argument about, well, I should have your password to your phone. What's the problem? What are you hiding? And it's kind of like, well, what aren't you hiding versus what am I hiding versus what do I choose to keep private versus what you don't choose to keep private? Because the biggest argument that I hate with people is this, it's like a weird appeal to authority where it's like if you're not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't be worried. But I get very concerned when somebody tells me that, because it's like, but why do you want to know what's going on in there? Right? Like, what's your interest? What's piquing your interest? Because what if I do have a text message with Save where I'm bitching about my girlfriend, right? And I'm just like, "Argh," but I'm venting.
Yeah.
And then
That
you
kind of
just-
goes back to like, do you think you could find something? You know what I mean? I'm just telling you, yeah, what I mentioned about like in my experience, like, you know, the people that are like so like anti all of that usually are the ones hiding something. But
Mhm.
I'm not to say that like if I was in a relationship, I'd be like, oh yeah, I think we should have each other's passwords. Like that's stupid.
Oh yeah, no,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Yeah, like you should be able to trust them, and if you have a concern, you should be able to talk through that concern.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's something relevant they think they need to show you, that's different. I'm never gonna go through someone's shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna trust you to be able to tell me what the information I need to know. I don't need to look at anything else, you know. Or if I'm explaining something, I might be like, read this text message, what do you think about this situation, blah blah blah. Like that's something else, you know. But yeah, I think you guys might have just experienced some real crazy girls, which I think we all have to some extent, where
Well,
they
I think it's brilliant.
they preface that in a manipulative way, but it's not really why they want that. Because I had a girlfriend one time, and she's the reason I even put a passcode on my phone. I never used to have a passcode on my phone, right? This is like, you know, the first time I had an iPhone or whatever years ago. But she got mad about a conversation I had with my brother because we have nicknames for each other and we like talk shit back and forth. And then we're like, okay, I love you, bye, or whatever. And it was my brother, and she was like, who's that? And I'm like, that's my fucking brother, dude. Don't be weird, like my gay brother, you know. So we're gonna, you know, make weird jokes or whatever, but nothing crazy. And then was mad at me, and I was like, oh my god, I have to put a lock on my phone because you're gonna get mad over a text with my brother. That's insane.
That's wild. Yeah.
Right,
How long
but
did
it's
you stay
like,
with her after that?
oh, we broke up like very shortly after that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good means to.
See, and I'd rather,
Yeah, very toxic.
I'd rather see, and I like you because you said a lot, and you know what, I agree. I agree with a lot of it. It's posed in a very manipulative way.
Yeah,
Right?
like it's one thing if we're at Disneyland and you want our location in case we get lost. That's legit. And after the end of the day, take my location off of there. That's fine, right? It's only going to be for the purpose of Disneyland. That actually makes sense. Because my brother and I lost each other like 10 times at Disneyland. And finally we're like, oh my God, we need each other's locations. We keep getting lost. And that's different. But I don't think it makes sense to have my significant other's location 24/7. Maybe if they go to fucking Ireland without me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Sure,
Yeah.
whatever. But
so-
what am I really gonna fucking do with your location? You know?
So, well, how do I want to pose this question? Are there things that you're willing to compromise on, though? Like, is there somebody that you could sit down and have a conversation and be like, okay, we're both adults. you make a valid point on why you need my locate or why you would like to have my location, I can share my location with you. Like, do you think this is for everybody, not just for Lucy, but Lucy's now since she first started saying that?
I'm interested in what she'd say.
Because I would,
mean,
if there was like, because I
Yeah.
have adult conversation, and I do not like dating very much younger women anymore because I've noticed that's pretty much been the problem for all my relationships in the past. But I think I could have an adult.
Oh, is that they want your location? You don't want to give it, or whatever.
It's only been one or two, but yeah, that was like a big thing, and I did give it to the first person, and after that, I'm like never again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty agreeable with stuff. I would have to hear like a reasoning that made sense, but also like if I felt like they were abusing it in some way, maybe causing stress in the relationship because of it, then I might bring it up as something that like I feel like is more detrimental to the relationship than actually helping. Like if you have my location but you never check it, and then you get stranded, your phone's about to die, and I'm like, shoot, let me pull up your location, screenshot it before your phone dies, and that's what you use it for, that's a completely different justifiable way. That's more for your safety. That's different. If you start abusing it and like causing stress because I'm at X, Y, and whoever's place, there's more going on. And I mean, more likely than not, if that does pose a problem, I might have to just really reconsider like the maturity of the relationship at that point, because it's like, why are these things becoming an issue, right? Because obviously with my lifestyle, I don't really go to many places anyway. It's not like I'm gonna get on a plane without my significant other, you know? So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty agreeable with stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm pretty agreeable. I think it's fair, you know, to listen, because everybody's gone through some sort of and their own variation of like different traumas or experiences. And it does kind of suck sometimes, because like you said, right, you went through a bad experience with one ex-girlfriend, and now you know like things kind of changed, so that when you date newer people now, you kind of approach it differently, where you're like, my preference is to not share my location. And that's, you know, for you, that's your preference now, you know what I mean? Which is worth discussing, right? So that I would understand where that came from if I was somebody that was trying to date you and be like, oh, okay, trying to understand why you didn't want to give your location. So I think that's important, you know, and taking into consideration the experiences other people have had.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's called being an adult.
No, that's really well said.
What do you think, Zero?
No, yeah, I think remind me the question one more time. It was about the locations though.
Compromise. Like, is that something that you'd be able to compromise on with the right conversation? I mean, it sounds like you have.
Yeah, I have for sure. No, and mine was like really, like I never thought I would like. I trust this person that I'm with now, like with everything, and it was just I don't know, like a bad. Yeah, it was just overall a bad experience with the previous person and how they abused like knowing where I was, because they didn't even have my location. They didn't even have that. Just knowing where I was, and then kind of abusing whether or not they were gonna like check up on me and stuff. That was
like
super weird. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
And I didn't even find out through them. I found out through somebody else who was like, bro, sometimes she would have me like go with her and like make sure, and I was like, whoa, that felt so you know, in my personal space when I didn't even know anybody was watching me at the time. And so that was really weird. And then coming into this new relationship, I told her like, as soon as the conversation basically went on, I'm like, I'm never comfortable with that. I'm never going to be, and I just don't want to do that. I don't want to share my location. And eventually, I mean, like I said, I trust her with basically everything. So, it just seemed like something that she kind of preferred to have, not necessarily like needed to have or whatever. It wasn't like an ongoing conversation every time. It was just like yeah, sometimes it's nice. You know, I go up to LA and she's like, I just want to, you know, make sure that you're okay, whatever. She, like I said, she still doesn't check it. It's more of just like if I ever need to have her pick me up or whatever it may be, she always has it. And so eventually I think I got over like maybe not got over is the right word, just like wanted to trust in that way in a way that I never got to because it was kind of taken from me without even me knowing it was there, if that makes sense. That kind of trust. So giving it to somebody I really do trust, I think that was important. I wanted to do that. So that's why I did it.
I definitely think it's like super inappropriate for like new relationships, you know?
No,
Because I feel like there's just a certain period in the beginning where like you're not really intertwined in that person's life yet. So there's going to be a lot of, you know, times where you don't know where they are. That's just kind of like what goes with the territory dating somebody in the beginning. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's something that
I got a good one for you, Lucy. Based off of what you just said and something that you said in the green room, with dating.
You remember?
I do. I remember. I pay attention to all the little things. This is something that was brought up recently. Do you think, because it sounds like you're in the dating world and things of that nature, do you think that there is a period of time when you're dating somebody where they aren't their genuine selves?
Oh, where they aren't their genuine self. Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, you're like in date mode and you're like, I gotta be impressive and I gotta do this and do that in order to kind of set the hook. And
well, hopefully nobody's like that, right? Because you want to like date you want the person to be genuine. You know what I mean? There's a question I like to ask on dates. I like to ask people like the most fucked up things they've ever done, or like the shittiest things they've ever done in their life. Like I like, don't tell me that you like what nice walks on the beach and you like sunsets. Like I want to know the worst thing you did for money. You know what I mean? Like I want to know like what your fucking flaws are, right? Because it's obviously I like deep conversations too, but that's how you really kind of know somebody. And but I mean, I'm sure there is some extent of dates or whatever of people that have not been their genuine self. You know, I'm sure there's some level of, and some people that are like that. But yeah, I don't think it's all people. I definitely don't think it's all people.
I don't either. Like, I don't know. I was having this conversation, and I think for the three of us, like me, Zero, and Corpse, just because we've been doing this for so long, that our genuine selves are really on the internet. So if anybody ever questioned if we were being genuine or not, like if anybody ever asked me, does Corpse really think that women belong in the kitchen? Like, yeah, he just says that kind of stuff on the podcast sometimes. But if you really watch all of our podcasts, you know he's a genuine ass motherfucker that loves hard and loves his kids. And yeah, no, I agree. I think to an extent there is like a little bit of a performance that you put on when you go out on dates, just because you want to look your best, you want to make a good first impression. But yeah, I am definitely in the same ballpark as you. Like, I think I put my genuine self on as soon as I meet somebody.
You gotta
Kelly Grigg, our senior correspondent. Also, sometimes you can see or know cookie cutter answers that can be huge red flags when dating and seeing someone is being fake to make a connection, but we'll switch up later. Yes. I think we've seen that. I think that's to Lucy's point, and even kind of to your point too as well with the question save. I think it's important that when we're also courting people, that we're aware of that, right? Like we're asking questions, but I do think, and I thought in my head, like, you know what? Knowing the worst thing you've ever done for money is infinitely more important than what your fucking favorite color is. And I don't know why I haven't asked those type of questions sooner in my lifetime, right? So great first date question, right? I think that I think knowing that type of stuff about people is important, because you can hear the cookie cutter, or they don't have a cookie cutter response, so they have to kind of like, and then you kind of start seeing, that guard falls, I think, a little faster when you take them off guard like that. And it's important, I think, to do so, to kind of make it a little awkward.
Hell yeah. And if anybody ever needs first date questions, we've got like 5 hot take episodes that you can steal questions from, and I guarantee you'll have a fun ass fucking date. I guarantee it. We've got the best hot take questions. Actually, Damien has the best hot take questions out of anybody. Our hot taker.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do on a date, and I mean, I'm no date expert, but is to just get them talking about them. You know what I mean? And I like to figure out like what people's passions are, what their dreams are, play, things they want. Like, are you ambitious? I got to figure out the things where I'm going to determine, would you be a viable partner for me? You know what I mean? And some of the bigger things are, I have deal breakers. Obviously, I'm not going to date anyone with addiction problems, anyone who's a cheater, or anyone who's abusive, right? So I like to talk and figure things out. Is this person tanking 7 fucking vodka Red Bulls like at this bar right now? Like, this is probably not the chick for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like what's the situation? How do they react to the bartender? How do they treat the people at the door or whatever when we go places? All of that really matters. And yeah, I think when you're, I guess it kind of sucks, right, dating, because you do kind of feel like you're on display a little bit, but it's just, the reality is not everyone's gonna like you. I mean, the date I went on recently, the girl wasn't even like totally gay, I guess. And so I was like, oh shit, like I was actually really apprehensive to like even, so usually what I do on a first date is I'll always get a girl flowers, right? But I was like, I don't want to be too aggressive and get her roses. Like, roses are like way too aggressive for a girl who's not 100% gay. So I was like, I'm gonna let my intuition, like guide me, whatever. And I was like, oh, like what kind of vibe are we feeling? We're gonna hang out like the whole day, go to the beach and stuff. And so I was like really gravitated to these sunflowers, and I was like, those are really pretty, those are nice, those are bright. But then I really liked these lilies that were like still a little closed, not totally bloomed. And I couldn't really decide. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get both. Like, that's kind of just what I was feeling. Guess what her 2 favorite fucking flowers were?
Sunflowers and lilies.
Yes. I was like, what? That's crazy, dude. But at the end of it, right? Like, it went great, fine, whatever. But at the end of it, later on, like a couple days later, she was like, hey, like, I'm gonna be, radically transparent. Like, this is how I'm feeling, whatever. And it's fine, no harm. But the cool thing is, on the date, she was like, do you want to be best friends? She's like, because you're like super cool, And I think that, and I set an intention for the date to just make it fun, get to know them. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, I wouldn't ever tell somebody to date someone that wasn't 100% gay. I definitely thought she was more gay than she was, and I was wrong, and that's okay. And lesson learned, right? Because I don't think I've dated someone who wasn't like fully gay for like years. So, but something was gravitating me to this person, and we're still friends, so it's not a huge deal. But it's a learning experience, and for her, she was like, oh my god, I kind of wish I felt differently. She was like, because you're just an amazing person, and
that's cool.
it just is what it is, and so that's fine. But it's still a learning lesson, And I was just myself. So if she didn't like me, it's just is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's interesting.
That is wild.
Is there a spectrum for gay?
Well,
the only reason I
was about to say, I'd imagine.
No, hold on. The only reason I asked is because you said she was less gay than you thought she was.
Oh yeah, I was like, are we talking like 30%, 35?
So like, what's like less gay than you thought? I don't know. I'm not gay, so I'm just asking.
Yeah. Well, most girls want to make out with me. I'll just say.
Oh.
So when a girl like
face confidence,
like, me and her like kissed a couple times, and then like she told me she's like, yeah, like, well, I almost had a panic attack, so I guess she didn't feel the same way, which is fine. But my goal was to just make her comfortable throughout the date, regardless. Like, I honestly, like, that was never like my goal or anything like that. Like, I wasn't even really thinking about that. It just kind of just happened, right? But I think like on paper, like she has a lot of opinions too. Like on paper, like we match up a lot. So I think maybe that's why like maybe she was like maybe thought that like she was attracted to me, but it was more like from an intellectual level.
Which is important,
yeah,
guys.
I think that the sexual attraction matters, right? So if you're a girl and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gay or whatever, and you go on a date with a girl and you make out with a bunch of girls and you don't feel anything, then you're just not gay. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna shame her, or whatever. So it just is what it is. Like at least she gave it the chance and we took the opportunity.
You guys are still cool. You guys are still friends. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's really cool. I had a question on whether or not it could be about dating or anything like that. We had kind of mentioned hot takes before. Do you have any hot takes that you think that you bring up to maybe friends that are like, whoa, I don't agree with at all, but you're like, I swear by it. These are just my hot takes.
Maybe
Well,
non-political.
this
Just
is
It doesn't matter. You could be political. I don't mind.
this
Listen.
is kind of the approach, and it doesn't have to be the first date, but I think it is very important to figure out the relationship the person that you're dating has with their parents, because that's how they learn to love, right? Everybody learns to love from their parents. And I've found that it's a direct correlation with how they approach everything in life. Learning their love languages, or I mean, that's like one of the more common things. Learning like personality traits can be helpful, because you learn about how this person solves problems, how this person sees things. Different personality traits, they take words more seriously than actions, or vice versa. So those type of things are really important, because if you don't get to know that person, you might be translating things to them in a way that is just not going to work for them. Or with the love language thing, you're going to be giving them love in a way they don't receive love.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of resentful in
that's a
those
first date.
moments.
That's a first date thing though for you.
I'm saying it's not necessarily a first date thing, but it's
okay.
things that you want to keep in mind
Before you get serious.
if you're going to continue to date somebody, because if they don't have good parents, or not even just that, if they don't have a good like foundation structure of like people to fall back on, whether it be a strong group of friends or good community, you know what I mean? Like, who's giving them life advice? Are they someone that like believes in therapy? Are they someone that like has bad habits, drinking, smoking all the time? Like, they don't take care of themselves? What kind of lifestyle does this person lead? I don't know. I think all of these things kind of matter, right? Because you're trying to figure out how this person is going to be in a relationship with you.
Interesting. That's very interesting. The parent thing is an interesting.
Yeah, that was really good. I don't even know if that's a hot take, honestly. That's just, I feel like that's just right. But I mean, that was really good.
I don't know. I think it's a hot take for me. I don't agree. I don't agree with the parent thing, but I agree with.
Think about it this way too.
Right, okay.
And I'll just give you an example. My niece was dating this guy one time, and if she asked that question, right, the parent thing or whatever, it would have seemed fine. But he was so close to his mom that the mom literally lived with him and did everything for him. So she was like, I don't know where I fit with this guy. Like it's just kind of awkward, because I go over to the house and hang out, and like his mom's there. And like she cooks for him, she does his laundry. Like, this is a grown ass man. So I was like, ooh, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you navigate that. I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times when we talk about parental issues and how they affect our relationships, I think a lot of us our mind is so easy to drift to like the vacant parent, right? Like the absent,
right.
But then
Not
we don't
just
think
that.
about the
overbearing.
overcompensating, right,
Yes.
mother, or the overcompensating father, which causes a whole different set of issues, right?
Yes.
Like the daddy's little girl, right? Like the boy is never good enough because daddy can always do better. Like that does play real life issues in some
daddy
relationships.
now.
Hey, some girls you're just not, like, until daddy's not daddy no more. You're just not. You're just.
I honestly think, from my experiences, I've actually had not just like date relationships, but like relationships with people that have been better when they haven't had their family, like their parents in the picture, or didn't learn love from their family, so they learned love from like their friends and stuff like that. And I'm one of those people, you know what I mean? I didn't feel love from my parents until I was like in my 20s. So that's the only reason I don't agree with that one, just because I've met some great fucking people in this world who didn't have their parents, and they just are the most loving people I've ever met in my life.
Well, I'm not saying it as like as it's just a negative thing, but it's something to consider, you know what I mean? Like in your case, you were able to have some sort of structure in your life that was different from that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying it's like an end all be all, like, oh, you have to have good parents. Like, obviously.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. But learning about that, it can sometimes help. It's not always the case, you know.
Okay, no, because the way you were saying it, it sounded like you had like a checklist in your head, like, okay, good parents, good. Love languages, I agree with. Good. Like that. That's just how it came off to me. So I was like, I don't know. But I get what you're saying. There's certain things that you're like,
it's just something to you know what I mean? Because and I'm thinking more along the lines of like the extreme, right? Like if you're on a date and this person keeps fucking FaceTiming their mom, it's like, okay, dude, I went on a date with a girl in LA, and she was like talked about her mom the whole time, and I was like, the fuck, like, am I gonna meet her tomorrow? Like, what the fuck do you wanna like? It's almost like you feel like there's something there where it's like, dude, would she even let you date? Like,
You got a
what I mean? So
curfew or
Yeah.
something?
You
Like,
up
do you have
to
to get
this?
back home?
Yes.
Yeah.
it's more for learning, right? Because if you marry them eventually or whatever, right? Like, you're gonna at some point marry into that family. So like learning about that dynamic could be something that might hold some water or not, right?
I got you.
Just understanding the situation and their life situation, how they were brought up.
No, I agree with that. That's why I was saying that. I don't even know if it's a hot take, but I guess Cisco. That was really good. I like that.
No, it's not a hot take now. It's not a
bit.
hot
Okay.
take now based on what her.
No, that
what
was
she
really
did,
good.
like, what she just said.
That was really good, but it's something that I didn't even think about. Getting into like the details of, like you said, maybe not a first date, but overall long term, making sure that structure is something that you could meld well with. That's super
Yeah, I
important.
think first date should probably be like a lot more lighter, a lot more fun, and then just kind of getting to know like the basics, like kind of like are they
shopping cart?
do you return your shopping cart? No, just like
That's-
more basic stuff like
That's an important one.
hobbies and like that kind of thing.
Okay, so we'll go to some of the weird questions since we've been on such heavy subjects this whole time. When you brush your teeth, Lucy, do you wet your toothbrush first, or do you put toothpaste and then wet your toothbrush?
I put toothpaste and then I wet my toothbrush.
Oh no,
Like a champion.
no. Wait,
Oh wait,
do you do
yeah,
that
no,
too?
no.
Wait,
I was
get my
trying to
teeth
think of the
whitened,
order because
too.
I was like, wait, did she just answer wrong? Hold on.
There's no
No.
wrong way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Let's
No
look it
wrong
up.
way.
The way that
Okay.
you and
As long
Corbs
as
do
you,
it
as
are
long
wrong.
as you floss, go to the
Proper
dentist,
way
and I get my teeth
to
whitened with like UV light or whatever the fuck it's
apply
called.
I don't know. My
toothpaste.
dentist is like, are you
I
wetting your
actually have
toothbrush
teeth gems
first?
right now.
toothbrush.
Wait, what is it? Oh, those are sick.
Teeth gems.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
I had a friend who
Those are
did
cool.
that, and I always got
They're
worried
fun.
that she would like eat something and like accidentally swallow it. But
Yeah, low
that
key.
doesn't happen. That's not.
I don't know what the fuck she did to these. These are like won't fucking come
They're
off.
just a
My
part of
friend
your
had
teeth
a
now.
bigger one and it came off. And
All right,
it,
here's another
That's
one.
scary. Yeah.
Do you eat chicken wings,
yes,
flats, or drumsticks?
both.
If you had to pick
One or
one.
the other.
If you had to pick one.
Probably drumsticks, I would say.
Wait. Off of that.
Oh, Lucy.
Off of-
Why are these defining questions?
Off of that, just really quick.
No, it's just questions that we've talked about.
If
in
you're
the
eating
past.
chicken wings, now let's say you have your drumsticks, you got your set right there. Right next to them, are there fries
Oh, this is a good one.
or are they
Breadsticks.
breadsticks?
You guys are really going to be disappointed by this answer. I rarely eat fries. I eat like all meal preps right
No.
now.
Okay,
So I
Would
wait,
you
get
rather
the
have
one
fries or
with-
breadsticks?
but if you had to have fries or
Zero.
breadsticks,
If you had to pick between fries and
Oh.
breadsticks next to your chicken wings, what's coming next to them? Your drumsticks.
Probably fries. I don't think they even serve
Let's go.
breadsticks
Come
here
on
in
now.
Hawaii.
yes, Lucy, thank you. I appreciate
No
that.
Shit.
Yeah, it would be fries.
Absolutely.
Breadsticks is weird. They only have that at like.
I like
Breadsticks is
epic
not
wings or
fucking-
whatever. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we
What
don't
the
have that here with wings.
Breadsticks
So
are not
I've
for
never
wings.
seen. I've never seen.
Breadsticks
Breadsticks
are
are
for
not
wings.
Nope.
No,
All right,
they're
all right.
Hell no.
No, they're
Only
I'm
Olive
gonna die
Garden
on that
does
hill.
that.
We won't get
I'm
it.
gonna die on that hill.
Yeah, breadsticks are only allowable at Olive Garden. They're like,
Yeah, Olive Garden's
No.
fine.
All right, give me one more. D, give me or Corpse. Do you remember one of those questions that we've asked like that before in the past? They're not defining, Lucy. We don't judge you for
Don't
any of these
judge.
things. I promise.
That's not what
Maybe
it
the
sounded
drumstick.
like.
Maybe the drumsticks, but no, because we've all disagreed on these except for the drumstick. Oh, okay. Here's the one. Best flavor of ice cream.
yeah, I was about to say best ice
Oh
cream.
my god, I am the worst because I don't even eat ice cream. But
You're like on your health stuff for real. You're
Yeah,
saying like
for real.
meal preps, no ice cream. How do you?
I literally all my meal preps are in the fridge and I pop them in the microwave for 2 minutes and I literally bring those to work.
I do want to hear the answer to the ice cream, but I was gonna ask how long you've been like I was gonna say like this, like it's a thing, but I just mean health conscious. Like it sounds like you're in it, locked the hell in, and I love that. I want to get to that, but I just ate some ice cream just before this.
That's why he was late. That's why he was late.
I had to shower because
It
I
is-
got so messy. It was just all over. No.
Pig.
I
Fucking
definitely do fuck with like chocolate chip or ube. They have a ube. I don't think they have that on the mainland.
Ooh.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
ube,
Hell
yeah,
Oh, they
yeah,
you
yeah.
do? Okay.
Hell yeah, we do.
It's kind of rare. You
If
gotta-
I were to eat ice cream, but I don't. Well, I mean, I still make room for life. I just don't have that stuff on a daily basis.
Okay, what about this? What about worst flavor of ice cream?
Probably coffee.
Whoa, that's wild.
That's a good one. I like that. I like that answer.
That's
Or like,
a
or
great
any
That's-
of,
that's
any
a
of the
wild
protein
answer.
ice creams are like disgusting. Like I much rather just
Not eat ice
eat
cream.
regular ice cream or like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't sound good.
Yeah. So how long have you been on your fitness journey?
On your fitness thing, yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
a
it
while. I
mostly
don't know.
like? Is it mostly? Are you doing like? Forgive me, because you said you were doing like a movie, and then you also have the podcast. Are you doing like gym content as well, or is that just like personal? Like you just do that on your own?
So, I do train some clients. It just depends on what's kind of going on at the time. I like to train people to do obstacle courses, so obstacle course racing, something like that can take. If you're someone that's never done one, you're probably looking at 3 to 6 months, maybe a year, depending on like what type of physical shape you're in. But that's kind of those are the people I gravitate to, or the people that are more in the competitive space. So they want to do it. They want to do it like that. They want to do something competitive. I recently had a client that was an older male, but he was having real issues with balance. And when you're older, your balance is going to be shittier, especially if you're not flexible. Your flexibility has a direct correlation with like your ability to fall more. So I was working on that with him a lot, and he just made crazy improvements. I mean, this dude couldn't even stand on one leg for like 5 seconds. Like it was that bad, his balance. Yeah.
That's
So
wild.
yeah. So I try to have like a very holistic approach to training, because just within my own experience, there's a lot of synergy, body, mind, spirit, all of that has to be able to be in alignment for you to be at your top physical peak. So it's not just about eating well, but it's also about being able to get sleep, resting your body, being mentally, less stress to be able to do whatever competition or show you're doing. So I always tell people, like, if it doesn't sound like a fun thing to do, or it doesn't sound like a fun competition or a fun race, like you're kind of starting off on the wrong foot. You want to do something that's going to be fun for you, and at the end you're going to feel accomplished. So, and you want to start out small, and then you want to kind of build from there. So if you're someone who just doesn't work out, it might be smart to start doing something where you're going to the gym maybe once or twice a week, just to get you in the flow of it. Because the number one reason people stop working out is they get too sore too soon, right? Because you go into the gym and you do like every single body part, and then you're so excruciatingly sore, you don't ever want to go back. And then a lot of people suck at cooking. So if they can't meal prep their own food, they're just going to eat out all the time.
Yeah.
So those are the two top things. And portion sizes. Here in America, we have like the worst portion sizes.
Yeah.
So if people can watch kind of those three things, a lot of the times, yeah, I can train anyone to build to do whatever it is that they want to do. You just have to really want to do that bad enough. And so, yeah. So I've been doing it a long time, and I enjoy it. And just for myself, I do a few races a year, and then I'll do the Spartan every year here. And yeah, during COVID, I won a Spartan race, and then I got invited to the Spartan Championships in Athens, Greece. I wasn't able to go because the Army thought they were going to deploy me, and they didn't end up deploying me. So that kind of sucked. But
Oh, so you're military? Or
I
active?
was
Oh,
military.
Thanks
Yeah.
for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that why you're in Hawaii? That's how you wound up in Hawaii?
Well, I am born and raised here,
Oh, okay. That's
but I
gonna be
did
my
get
next
stationed here. Yeah, I got stationed
awesome.
here, and then I just stayed. So yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
I think I think too, like really, what it really comes down to is when I was 16 years old, my dad got prostate cancer, and I spent a lot of my younger years taking care of my sick father, and so that really pushed me into kind of the mindset of wanting to live forever, in a way. And I just think that as somebody in my family, I have a responsibility to be healthy for my nephews and other people, members of my family, of in a way that I wish my dad kind of took seriously, because there was a lot of points where they were like, hey, you gotta like change your diet, you gotta do this. And my dad was never willing to make any type of changes. And I believe he could possibly be here longer if he took a lot more of that into consideration, maybe took it more seriously. So instead of waiting, right, for a bad result, I just kind of, me and my brother are very like motivated to like work out and stay a lot more healthy and kind of stay within that realm.
That is really cool to
That's
see.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Beautiful.
that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like
So
that.
it's hard for me to find a partner because when I meet somebody, if they're not healthy to some extent, it makes it hard because I also don't want to like repeat the cycle of like taking care of somebody who's not healthy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I tell people that I'm like, hey, if you're, you know, you don't have to be perfect, but like if you at least are pretty healthy and you work out, this is more likely going to work out. If you're not that, it's probably not going to work out.
That makes sense.
That's smart
And
too.
Lucy,
Yeah.
remind us, when is your movie releasing?
So that's a good question. So I'm entering it into the Hawaii Film Festival on the 25th of August. So that's in 10 days. And I'm not really sure. I think in around September, August, or sorry, September, October, that's when they have the actual film festival and they'll let everybody know like which films. I'm not sure if they do all the films or how that works, but I might do a screening around that time out here on my own. But I
Nice.
will be dropping the trailer for it at least in the next 10 days. So
Oh, cool.
look out for that. So the trailer will be
Hell yeah.
coming out.
Oh yeah, make sure you send it to us too, because we're all still in that group chat. So like
Mm.
we can make sure that we
Yes.
share it, post it, and all that.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. That'd be cool.
Okay, so as we're closing out, Lucy, is there anything that you want to tell the listeners or people that are viewing live? Is there anything that you want to share just as a closeout? We always do like we all have our little sayings and things that we do. Like I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
have a saying, and so if there's anything that you want to say to people listening before we close out, that'd be awesome.
There's a couple things, and I wrote them down earlier, and so I was like, oh, I don't want to forget to like kind of mention it. I think just in encompassing the topics that we were talking about, specifically more with the adult content stuff, I don't really think it's a matter of like, is it wrong or right? I think it's more of a matter of, are we lying to ourselves about the effect it's having on us? So that's something I just kind of want to leave out there. And then also, I just think with anything, if you are doing something that has more of a positive effect on your life, I think it's something that you could consider continuing to do. And then the latter of that. So if you're doing something in your life and you're feeling like it's bringing too much negativity, guilt, shame, whatever, then maybe it's something you shouldn't be doing. So I don't know. I just leave everybody with that, some thoughts, things to think on.
I like that.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot. I like
Thank you.
that. Thank you, Lucy, so much for joining us. So to everybody listening, this is Lucy Dorado. Lucy, tell us again your Instagram handle and YouTube handle so everybody can follow you.
Yes, please follow me on Instagram at Lucy in the Gym with Weights and on YouTube at youtube.com/Lucy in the Gym. Thank you.
So thank you guys all for tuning in to another episode of the Usual Tuesday podcast. To our beautiful community, thank you guys so much for sticking with us. 85 episodes is a lot.
Wow.
Make sure you guys visit corpsecollection.com and pick up that Kagini merchandise. Corpse just texted me earlier today and was like, damn, dog. Everybody's buying the Kagini shit. Use code SAVE1. Appreciate you guys. They come in the shorts, the hoodies, sweaters, crew neck sweaters, and shirts. So make sure you get your favorite color and use code SAVE1. But as always, you guys stay healthy, stay happy. I love you. Keep smiling, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Go for it, Putch.
Oh shit. Corpsecollection.com. Y'all know the deal. Big corpse. Thank you everybody. Save 0%. Lucy, thank you again for being such an amazing guest and just dope conversation. Yeah. First female guest of the UTP.
Yay.
So
Oh,
That's
yes.
true.
for all you people
Yeah.
who says
All
these
those
things about me, fuck
He's so
off.
sexist.
sex as fuck.
Yeah. But of course, as you guys know, I always do my little sign off. And today I stumbled upon Romans 14, chapter 19, where it says, let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to the mutual edification, and do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food. All food is clean, but it is wrong for a person to eat and consume anything that causes someone else to stumble. It is better not to eat a meal or drink wine, to do anything that will cause your brother or sisters to fail. I think that's one to think about. Yeah. Even the things that we consume, people, let us not break the peace that we hold mutually with our brothers and sisters. I think we can find more common grounds. Yeah, until next time. Hope you have a good day, week, month, year in life.
Dang, that was good. I like
I
that
love
one.
Romans. It's a good
That
book.
was a really good one. Thank you, Lucy, again for coming on. Hopefully, we can have you again. You were really great. You're super knowledgeable. I like all the
Yay.
stuff that you're doing, and I'm excited for all the work that you're doing. So it's really cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you, everybody, on the Usual Tuesday podcast for watching, viewing, subscribing, whether you're watching right now live or on the playback. We appreciate you always. Alrighty, be safe. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
All right, everybody. Love y'all.
All right, you guys.
Alrighty,
Love y'all.
bye-bye.
Be safe.
Be safe. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know if I was supposed to. Was I supposed to stay? Stay? Oh, you know what I'm doing? Oh wait, I need to make a thumbnail. What thumbnail? Alrighty, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Peace. I need to do another live stream that's not a podcast. I need to do like a proper live stream. I do know this. I will do it. I've been getting a little chunky, bro. I just came back from the Knott's Berry Farm Boysenberry Festival. So that was cool, but it was definitely not good on my calorie count. That's why I was talking about Lucy and her lock in with the whole fitness thing. She's been on it, and I need to get on it as well. But I just ate boysenberry tiramisu. I'm not going to lie to you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.